For centuries, Naboo had enjoyed an era of peace, stability, and prosperity. Its entry into the Republic had cemented its place as a beacon of diplomacy and culture. However, as the galaxy evolved, so too did the challenges facing Naboo. By 100 BBY, the planet had become deeply enmeshed in galactic politics, and with this newfound prominence came corruption, power struggles, and the slow erosion of the very ideals Naboo once held dear. At the heart of this transformation was Naboo's growing reliance on its plasma resources. The rich plasma deposits beneath the planet's surface had long been a source of power, both figuratively and literally. As the demand for energy surged across the galaxy, Naboo's plasma became an invaluable commodity, drawing the attention of powerful off-world interests. The Trade Federation, a vast megacorporation that controlled interstellar trade routes, saw an opportunity to exploit Naboo's resources for its own gain. During this time, King Bon Tapolo ascended to the throne. Unlike his predecessors, Tapolo pursued a pro-business agenda, seeking to integrate Naboo further into the Republic's economic system. He opened negotiations with the Trade Federation, allowing them to conduct preliminary surveys of Naboo's plasma reserves. In exchange, the Federation promised economic investment and greater trade opportunities for the planet. However, not everyone on Naboo supported this decision. Many of the planet's leaders, including Senator Vidar Kim and Kosinga Palpatine, were staunch isolationists, believing that Naboo should maintain its traditional self-sufficiency rather than becoming dependent on outside forces. Their concerns were not without merit. The Trade Federation was notorious for its monopolistic practices, and there were fears that Naboo would become exploited rather than enriched. Despite this opposition, Tapolo's policies gained traction thanks in part to the political maneuvering of a rising figure in Nabooan politics, Sheev Palpatine. Born in 82 BBY, Palpatine was the heir to the influential House Palpatine, one of Naboo's noble families. Though publicly aligned with Tapolo's economic vision, Palpatine harbored far greater ambitions than mere trade deals. A gifted politician, Palpatine manipulated the power struggle between isolationists and expansionists to his own advantage. Operating in secret, he leaked damaging information about the isolationist movement, revealing that many of its leaders had ties to Naboo's past wars and off-world mercenary groups. This revelation undermined their credibility, allowing Tapolo's pro-Federation faction to dominate Naboo's government. At the same time, Palpatine's personal alliances would reshape his future in ways no one on Naboo could have foreseen. Among his key allies was Higo Damask, the head of Damask Holdings, a financial conglomerate that played a quiet but powerful role in shaping galactic economics. Unknown to most, Damask was in fact Darth Plagueis, a Dark Lord of the Sith, who saw immense potential in the young Palpatine. Palpatine, harboring his own hatred for his family and the restrictive traditions of Naboo's noble class, murdered his entire family, seizing control of their vast wealth and resources. Under Plagueis's guidance, he began his Sith training, using his political career as a cover for his deeper ambitions. As Palpatine's influence grew, so too did Naboo's entanglement with the Trade Federation. By the time of King Ars Varuna's reign, 46 BBY to 33 BBY, the planet's economy had become deeply tied to plasma exports, creating a dangerous dependency. Varuna, unlike his predecessors, was far more aggressive in his dealings, forging secret arrangements with the Trade Federation and even aligning with criminal organizations such as Black Sun and the Bando Gura. His goal was to cut out middlemen and sell Naboo's plasma at a higher price. But this placed the planet at direct odds with the Federation itself. Tensions between Naboo and the Trade Federation escalated, with many on Naboo beginning to resent the Federation's control over their resources. Seeing an opportunity to capitalize on this discontent, Palpatine turned against Varuna, throwing his support behind a new political figure, Padme Navari, later known as Queen Amidala. Unlike Varuna, Amidala represented a return to Naboo's traditional values of diplomacy and self-reliance. At just 14 years old, she won the election for Queen of Naboo in 33 BBY, defeating Varuna's corrupt administration. Varuna, realizing that his position was crumbling, attempted to assassinate Higo Damask, whom he saw as one of the main architects of his downfall. However, this plan failed. Damask survived, and Varuna was soon found dead under mysterious circumstances. With Amidala now queen, Naboo entered a new era of leadership, but the challenges it faced were far from over. The damage done by years of Trade Federation interference had left the planet vulnerable, and in the corridors of power, Palpatine continued to manipulate events from the shadows. One of Amidala's first major political efforts was to support taxation on free trade zones. a move aimed at curbing the Trade Federation's influence. However, she was unaware that Palpatine, now secretly Darth Sidious, was using her policies to push the Federation into an aggressive response. In retaliation for the taxation policies, the Trade Federation's leadership, including Viceroy Newt Gunray, was convinced to blockade Naboo, cutting off its trade routes and bringing the planet to the brink of economic and humanitarian crisis. Thus, what had begun as an economic dispute quickly spiraled into a planetary crisis, a crisis that Palpatine had orchestrated from the beginning. The blockade of Naboo would soon set the stage for the first major galactic conflict in generations, marking the beginning of the end of the Republic and the rise of an empire. Naboo, once a shining symbol of peace and prosperity, was now at the heart of a conspiracy that would change the galaxy forever. The events that followed would pit the planet against the full force of the Trade Federation's military, setting the stage for one of the most pivotal battles in Star Wars history, the invasion of Naboo.